What is going on, guys? This is Garrett and Lincoln from RUNAMUCK MMA, bringing to you guys a new style of ninth corner of the Octagon for UFC Vegas 9.
Here we go. I very much enjoyed it, though it was only 7 fights total.
Yeah, there's only 7 fights total. It pretty much just came down to a lot of COVID related stuff. As you guys can pretty much see right here, this was like a few hours before the fight, barely. Only about, an hour after Thiago Moises got pulled from the card yesterday. Fellow American top team fighter Marcos Roguero de Lima got infected with the virus and was forced out of his heavyweight clash with Alexander Romanov. And there's really, at that point in the night, there's no time for late night substitutions.
No time at all for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we basically just got brought down to 7 fights, which was fine. It kind of kept things condensed, kept things pretty normal. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and we'll go through here and we'll give you guys the highlights and a lot of our thoughts on it. So as you guys can see, we started the night with Cole Smith versus Hunter Azier. Hunter Azier being a Contender Series alumni, all that jazz. And then we had Cole Smith. Both guys were, Hunter Azier, I'm pretty sure, was coming off of a loss. Cole Smith, I think, was on a bit of a tear a little bit. He was doing pretty well.
And very close strikes, though.
Yeah.
You could obviously see that Hunter has the close decision.
Yeah, he pretty much. Here's the thing: he dropped him in the first, essentially.
Yeah,
and it's like when,
and that's
like
pretty
that
much
happens,
all the judges needs to see when it's that close.
Yeah, and the wrestling, was pretty great. I mean, there was a few good back and forth exchanges when it came to some scrambling and some wrestling. Both guys had each other's back at a certain point, but it always seemed to me, at least, that Azier was the one that was getting a lot of the turnarounds. He was getting a lot of the reversals. He was getting the more advantageous positions. The more I saw as time went on.
And that's how he got his hand raised.
Yeah, so that was pretty great. Good for Hunter Azier. And Cole Smith, like I said, he didn't do anything bad. It just kind of felt like he was the one that was engaging grappling exchanges with this pretty amazing wrestler. So
yeah, and whenever you do that, that's how you get.
And Cole Smith, in and of himself, I know, is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, but we've talked about this on the show before, that when it comes to wrestling versus jiu-jitsu, wrestling is just better for control. And that's what Azier did pretty much the entire time.
Jiu-jitsu is just better for defense, which is what he kind of was trying to do for most of it.
Yeah.
Kind of just pulling guard and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then that's kind of how you get the greater control time for Azier, is because all Cole Smith is doing is defending the entire time.
And you're just on bottom.
Yeah. And then we arrive at our second fight of the night, Vivian Araujo. Excuse me if I mispronounced that.
Smokes.
Versus Montan Del Labro.
This was a bloodbath, dude.
Yeah. It was I texted you right after the decision was made about how De La Rosa was in disbelief that she had lost despite her face looking like a pizza. Yeah, she got messed up. She got messed up pretty bad.
But as you can see, it's still super close.
Yeah. It
just obviously the strikes that landed onto the pizza face were doing more damage. Yeah, they just were.
I mean, the jabs were. I mean, the accuracy was a lot better for Vivian. Every time she threw her jab, she was landing the jab. Every time she, 9 out of 10 leg kicks by the time the third round came around, like, she was just way more accurate.
Hammering away.
Yeah. Obviously, there's more volume coming out of Montana De La Rosa. However, it was Vivian who was the more precise striker here and really made the most of her striking game. And that's what kind of pushed her over the edge there. You kind of felt like, maybe De La Rosa could have gotten a little bit better in her, if she had pursued more takedowns, or at least had committed more to takedowns. I'm not saying that she didn't, attempt enough. obviously Vivian's takedown defense was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
But
she got 1 out of 6 attempts.
yeah, but with Montana, it just kind of seemed like she wasn't really offering Vivian much in terms of power on the feet. She's hitting a lot. Like you see here, the numbers are really, really close. But it just
But
kind
she's
of,
also missing a lot.
yeah, she's really missing a lot. And like I said, with Vivian, the stuff that she hits, it's really effective. She's getting severe head snapbacks on just jabs alone. So that pretty much to me it kind of spells, and not to mention her leg kicks, just the power on those, forcing Montana to constantly switch stances a lot. But yeah, I think that really did it for her right there, honestly. So good for Araujo. Again, forgive me if I mispronounce that. But yeah, so that was a great performance on her part.
Very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Then, oh God,
Yeah.
OG Jolly Williker, did Ray Rodriguez never listen to the Wu-Tang Clan?
Nope. No, he did not
Gotta
protect
protect your neck.
Yep.
I was in disbelief on how fast this one happened.
Yeah, this was pretty crazy.
We've been seeing lots of good stuff out of Brian Kelleher as of recently, the quarantine, or hence since the quarantine.
Yeah,
and I was
wins
excited
this year now.
Yeah, and I was excited to see what Ray Rodriguez would do. Didn't see much of it because apparently he beat the Flick, who just won on the Contender Series recently.
Yeah,
I don't
Jimmy
see
Flick.
how.
Yeah.
I don't see how Jimmy Flick didn't flick that neck that he wasn't protecting. I don't see it. I
don't know,
just
man.
don't see it. We need to run that one back. We need to run it back.
I mean, I don't know if part of it was that, and we all know that when you go in for these takedowns and these guys grab your head, it's just a dangerous game you're playing, and really, kudos for Kelleher. It was really him kind of just throwing himself into that guillotine that secured it. But there was just no answer from Rodriguez. He just didn't really have anything to offer. And, excuse me, Brian Kelleher is also, he's the person that really had defeated Hunter Azier most recently. Hunter Azier previously on this card, one of his most prior losses is Brian Kelleher here. So we've been seeing a lot of good stuff out of Kelleher, like you said, this past year. And this quick submission, as you can see, got a performance of the night. Because of it. I mean, he's
doing good stuff.
Yeah. So, what's next for him? I don't know. It's like he's just slowly, moving his way up.
Give him to Sean.
Yeah, right. But yeah, this was great. It was a great guillotine overall. Honestly, it wasn't even one of those all the way around the neck kind of things. He had the arm in there, but it was just so tight.
So tight, and you saw you could almost see the spine getting stretched out also because of the way that he was arching his back.
Yeah,
it's painful to look at. I didn't enjoy it, but I also enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we had 3 submission finishes back to back throughout this night.
Yeah, and something similar happened on the last fight night where there was several submissions and wins and finishes all in a row. Yeah. So maybe it's just that COVID, bud. That COVID pandemic fever is getting everybody to kill each other.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But speaking of submissions, we had Andre Muniz versus Bartosz Fabinski. Muniz, another Contender Series alumni, was actually going into this as the underdog. But, I mean, black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right here, no brown belts, none of that in sight. Got nothing but obsidian out on the cage. And Muniz just kind of, he lets himself kind of get taken down. He himself had a guillotine choke that was actually really deep in there. And I thought for a second we were going to get 2 guillotines back to back.
That's what I was figuring too. I had it typed out on my phone whenever we were texting each other during the fights.
Yeah, that was just crazy. That was wild.
No way, 2 guillotines.
But somehow, Bartosz Fabinski kind of fought his way out of that, popped his head out, and then just kind of tried to. He was fighting a lot, but really, as soon as he popped his head out of the guillotine choke, Muniz really just started throwing his legs up, faking the triangle, and then, Fabinski, during the post-fight show, Usman put this into really good perspective. where he said that in jiu-jitsu, one of the first things you learn is never put your hands on the canvas. Don't post with your hands. And that was the fatal flaw of Fabinski. He posted with his hand, his left hand, and Muniz just kind of immediately snapped from the triangle into an arm bar. And he didn't even really have to extend as well as usually.
He kind of just popped his leg over his head, still kind of in a triangle mount kind of way, and then just bent the elbow.
Yeah, because the elbow, in most cases, the arm bar is usually between the person's thighs, and it's kind of like elongated on their chest. But Muniz, because Fabinski had his arm posted on the canvas, Muniz just kind of had to shift his body a little bit, and the whole arm, most of the arm, was under Muniz's hip.
Yeah.
So it was like the arm was already
so
trapped.
Much pressure.
And then all he had to do was extend his body just a little bit to get the tap that he needed, which was pretty crazy because from the angle where we saw the finish initially, I didn't see why he had tapped so soon, but then you see on the other angle that arm is a lot deeper under Muniz's body than we initially had seen.
It was textbook beautiful.
Yeah, and I was just thinking to myself the other day, we haven't seen that many arm bars lately in the men's division.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really fun to see and fun to watch.
It's a good move. Everybody kind of sleeps on it every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Until you get caught with one.
Oh yeah. Oh. So yeah, and this was Muniz's UFC debut, maybe.
I believe so.
I believe so as well. So
and he got a performance of the night.
Yeah. That was Ray Rodriguez's UFC debut as well in the previous fight, and you could just see the look on his face of disappointment.
So disappointed.
But Muniz, walked away with a pretty good victory under his belt. And then we go into the last three fights, some of the biggest draws of this fight. This was a really great just fight to watch overall.
Michelle Pereira so interesting.
Versus Zaleem Amadaev.
Michelle Pereira is never boring. No, always something. Even if he loses, you're just like, what a crazy fight that I just watched.
Yeah, and what's so great it's like you said, it doesn't. Anytime you see Michelle Pereira on a card, you're gonna be watching him just because the guy is like a video game character. He flies all over the place. They were trying to in this fight. They were trying to underplay some of the antics that he usually does. But I got to tell you, man, when you do a Showtime kick in the first round,
every fight, this is like the fourth time he's done it.
Oh yeah, but I mean, just like in this fight alone,
a
Showtime kick, flying knees. He did that.
No spinning cartwheels.
No, but he did a flip. He did a flip kick in the second round, I want to say. But he was all over the place. Oh, there's so much, man. I don't blame you.
He's just a crazy guy.
Yeah.
It's like that one guy you don't want to play in UFC 4.
Yeah, and Zaleem Amadaev, he's skilled as well. He's apparently he's won over 60 amateur boxing fights. He's a boxer, but the problem is that you're dealing with a guy like Pereira, who's really hard to predict what he's going to do. He always likes the big stuff. But here's the thing. Big ticket in this fight was that Pereira was not only doing his usual antics, he was also working the typical every fighter moves. He was working on his straight jabs. He was his crosses. He was being a lot more technical and conservative of energy in some moments, so that when he got around to the big stuff he likes to do, it really popped. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, prior to this event, in the face-offs, Zaleem actually slapped Michelle Pereira.
Yeah,
slapped him right in the face.
And then in between one of the rounds, he knocked the referee's head, trying to hit Pereira.
Yeah,
Pereira.
Yeah,
sorry.
He did that, and it was just interesting. And as the fight went on, pretty much into the second or third round, Pereira, my favorite moment, literally kisses his hand, holds his hand up, and throws an overhand slap that just lands full on clean right at Amadaev.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, that was just sweet, sweet revenge right there. That was just great.
And then he choked him out.
And then he choked him out. Yeah, so that was the
Wasn't expecting that.
controversy. I did not expect, because I've never in my life seen Pereira actually grapple. His defense is usually really good, but I don't actually see him actively grappling like that.
Yeah, I've seen him on his back a few times, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But he not what I was expecting. If you had told me like yesterday while we were texting, and you were just like, "Oh, fights Michelle's about to fight. What do you think is gonna happen?" And you're just like, "He's gonna choke him out in the third round." I'd be like, "No, he's not."
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna do a spinning wheel kick into a cartwheel, and then he's gonna hit him.
Yeah, or go to decision.
Yeah, or go to decision.
But that's the crazy thing. You know, he first of all he had a beautiful mat return. I mean, it was just, you know,
brought you back to those days, didn't it?
Exactly, and major flashbacks. And he brought the guy down and immediately gets onto his back. You know, Zaleem goes right into the turtle position. You know, Michelle's just on him immediately and just cleanly throws in that choke right there. I mean, that was just,
oh no.
Yes, this is super smooth. And then obviously not maybe 5 seconds later, the ref is calling off the fight because he sees the tap.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the controversy comes in, because Zaleem claims he didn't tap. I believe that he didn't attempt to tap. You go back and you look at the replays, though, and the arm's right here, and Zaleem looks like he's going to fight the hands. But what ends up happening is his hand kind of taps. It kind of bounces off the arm in a tapping motion.
Is this a Kevin Lee type decision?
No, this is it's like I genuinely believe that he did not mean to tap, because he goes from here to try and fight the hands. But
have you been watching too much Chael Sonnen?
No, I swear.
I didn't mean to tap to Anderson Silva. I swear I didn't tap to Anderson Silva.
But this is something that happens, though.
I know it does happen.
That happens where fighters accidentally do something that to the referee looks like they're
Aaron Askren's only win.
There you go. I mean, that's a good example right there, where a referee thought somebody was finished in a submission. You know, whether it be by a lack of fighting back, or it be from what appears to be a misinterpreted tap. There we go.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's a whole brand.
It really is. It just it's one of those things. You know, I can see from the ref's perspective that there's only 20 seconds left in the fight. Zaleem has been getting beaten up this entire time. He's in a choke
what looks
right
like
now.
to be and what looks like a tap could have been a tap to him.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's not a robbery. You know, we all, if the fight had gone to decision,
I think we all would have been able.
Fight.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we could all agree that he would have won the decision.
Yeah.
So it just sounds cooler whenever he's talking to his friends about winning.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only difference.
Like, yeah, I choked him out.
Yeah, instead of I won the decision.
Yeah, I had 3 shadow figures give me points that made me win over this guy.
That's so weird.
I know, right? It's like the ones that sit above in shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But then, great win for Pereira, honestly.
Yeah, ecstatic, great fight.
Yeah, and Zaleem, you better watch out who you're slapping, man. If you can't back it up.
Because they'll slap you back.
Yeah, and you know Pereira is gonna slap you back. Fun fact, let me show you this real quick while we're on the topic of Pereira. Did you see this? Michelle Pereira calls out Jorge Masvidal.
I did. He had said that in the press not the after interview or whatever. He had said, "Where you at? Where you at, Jorge? Or where you at, Masvidal?"
Yeah. Has a big fight in mind. The welterweight competitor wants a showdown with divisional star Jorge Masvidal after securing the latest victory, which is going to carry over into some other news we've gotten later, and how that shut up, and how we got another big fight coming in the future with Jorge Masvidal, which we'll talk about in another video. But yeah, so. Pereira, I mean, he's doing a lot of great stuff, man. You know, he's probably got, maybe not that fighter in his near future, but he's got some big fights.
I would love to see it, but Jorge is a little bit too high caliber for him right now.
Right now, yeah. I mean,
right at this
getting
moment.
to that point where he's a big name. You know, he's big amongst
he's a meme
us
already.
Fight fans. Oh yeah, totally.
So some casuals might have seen him do his cartwheels and stuff, and then they probably don't even know he lost that fight.
Exactly. So going into the co-main event, we have a fight that was actually scheduled 2 weeks ago, but now is finally come to fruition. We had Ovince St. Preux versus Alonzo Menafield. What a great performance for OSP, man. He went against someone that was really powerful, really strong. Another second round finish. I almost said first round finish, but it was definitely a second round. And
I had Alonzo winning the first round.
Oh yeah.
I thought that his hits were landing more solid, and I was expecting him to carry over into the third round and win. But then OSP came out with
yeah.
He said nope.
Yeah.
Sleep.
See, I was one of those people where I was like, I couldn't really make that determination who had won the first round. It just didn't really feel like a lot had happened overall.
That's how I felt, but from what had happened, I had Alonzo winning the first round.
Yeah,
and
excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine. OSP has just always, for me, I've seen him gas out really early in most fights that I've seen him fight that he didn't win, or most of the fights that he loses, I've seen him gas out towards the third round, which is why I had Alonzo winning this fight, because I thought, whatever happens first and second round, OSP is not going to be able to keep going to the third, and that's when he's going to get caught, and he proved me wrong.
Yeah, it kind of, as soon as the second round starts, well, it's kind of the end of the first round to the beginning of the second round, because you had Ovince St. Preux, who's really working the range a lot, and he was throwing more strikes, and it seemed like there was just a dead period where Alonzo was just not throwing anything. Like he had maybe gotten hit with only a few shots from Ovince to really say to himself, be wary of this guy's power.
It seemed to me more like OSP was using the range, so Lonzo, every time he stepped in, would hit harder, but then OSP would be able to hit him more. So he started just standing farther out of range and picking whenever he would rush and get in, is what it seemed like. And then he probably did wait a little bit because he's like, hit me too many times, I gotta do it. But he did end up, getting knocked out. So it could have just been different than how I perceived it.
And I believe that was kind of the ultimate, game plan for Ovince. His coaches are like, every time Alonzo kind of rushes in on you, he does do that whole blitz bum rush stuff where he just kind of comes in, throws all these punches, has to get
where
out.
He got caught.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Alonzo just kind of came in rushing. Ovince just kind of backs up, hits him with the check hook. He sees Alonzo's face just right there, and it's like by that point in time when you're rushing someone like that, there's no easy way for you to just step out. It's like once you've committed to it, you're just that, you're committed, and you can't really just get out of the way. You have no choice but you take the shot, and that's what happened. And man, I tell you, it's been a while since I've seen anybody just fall completely face first into the mat like that.
Yeah, and just be done.
And just out. Yeah, I mean, there was no need for any follow-up shots or anything. Ovince is one of those good guys who's got a few good walk-off KOs.
Yeah.
But apparently he hasn't KO'd anybody in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while, because then he started getting the OSP choke.
Yeah. So this has been it's been pretty great so far. So great fight from Ovince St. Preux. I'm glad he's making some more headway into the light heavyweight division. He was in heavyweight for a while. Now he's moved back down. So good job. And then we come to the main event of the evening. We had Alistair, the Demolition Man, Overeem versus Augusto Sakai. As you guys can see, Alistair Overeem is now in the number 5 slot. Somehow Augusto Sakai has moved to number 8, even though he was at number 9. I guess it's probably mostly because DC might have been removed from the rankings. He was still on the rankings list
That could be it,
Saturday
yeah.
night, but they probably changed it today. So, but yeah, so Overeem was it 6? Now he's at 5.
Yeah, I really had Augusto winning this fight up until round 4.
Yeah,
see, that's how
Here's my thing.
I had that video released earlier in the week where I was talking about how I believe that Alistair Overeem was going to win the fight.
Yeah,
and I believed that he was the favorite. He was the favorite going into the fight, but then the odds were just changing so fast. Apparently, at one point, Augusto was a minus 400 favorite.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how they change it. It's like I always thought that it just stayed whatever it was the second the fight started.
Right.
But it's crazy. I don't understand any of it.
And to me, it was just like, man, y'all are sleeping on Overeem. Because if there's one thing that I said, Overeem has the technicality, he has the speed.
The durability.
Augusto Sakai has the power. And I knew that one thing that Augusto was going to want to try and do was put a lot of his weight on Alistair, try and slow him down, and get in a lot of those flurries, a lot of those blitzes. One thing that I did say that was a little wrong was I questioned the chin of Overeem a lot. I made that mistake. He actually survived a lot of these flurries. His defense was actually really, really good. It almost seemed like his game plan pretty much the entire time was to just take the shots, be done with it, kind of let Augusto wear himself out. And Alistair kind of started working the game plan. I mean, he was just slowly picking the guy apart. He got a really nasty cut over Augusto's eyebrow early in the fight. Augusto got a cut on Alistair right on the hairline. They were just kind of trading back and forth with Augusto just coming in with these big, heavy blitzes. And I think for the most part, I think is why people started favoring Augusto. They started seeing that. They didn't see a lot of answers from Overeem. And we were talking about who won the first round between OSP and Alonzo. I disagree with a lot of people who believe that Augusto won the first round of this fight. A lot of people are saying rounds 1 and 2 belong to Sakai. But I actually disagree. I actually believe that because Overeem, he wobbled Sakai badly. Like Sakai literally fell against the cage, one knee, and then had to stumble to get back up.
Yep.
And when
I was also confused when I started seeing the tweets that said 10-9.
Yeah,
because I definitely have him. I have him winning rounds 2 and 3, but it seemed like they kind of skipped over that had happened.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense because it's like I feel like anytime you drop somebody in a round, you win that round.
Yeah.
Regardless, and even again, complimenting great corner work here. Sakai's own corner felt that that's what had happened as well. By the time the second round ended, they said, "All right, it's 1-1. You gotta do better in this third round." Yeah. I think that they believe that Overeem also won round 1, and that I think bold faced. I think that's just what happened. You drop somebody like that, you win that round, regardless of whatever came before them.
Yeah, but I totally agree with that. But I definitely think that he won rounds 2 and 3, and I was starting to think that Overeem was the one that was gassing. But proved me wrong because 4 and 5, he really started to mess him up with the takedowns, with the body kicks, and with the superior kickboxing skills as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my girlfriend's cousin was over here last night. We were watching the fight, and they both were looking at Overeem, and they were like, "Oh, he's gassing out. He's getting tired." And I was just kind of like, I looked at him and I kind of said, "Yeah, but Overeem's been in this position before. Overeem's been in 5-round fights. Sakai has not. And I think that was a real big factor going into this. Is that Sakai, said during his camp and his training, he was training like for a 5-round fight. But I think that experience is what really played a big part here, for Overeem.
Overeem has done like 12 rounds in the kickboxing tournaments and stuff in one night. So he's ready to go for however long.
Yeah.
He might have little sputters where he's like, feeling it, but he always comes back. And it's weird that recently it seems like he's getting ground and pound finishes more than just straight knockouts nowadays.
Right, like his finish on Walt Harris.
Yeah, Walt Harris, and then before his loss to Rosenstrike, his last 2 fights, he won by ground and pound stoppage, leading into his Rosenstrike loss.
Yeah,
which he won most of that fight as well.
Oh yeah, he definitely in the last. Rosenstrike only won that fight in the last 4 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's definitely been on a tear since his last few title fights, along with his loss to Francis Rosenstrike, were one of the gnarliest KOs ever.
And that's what I was telling you earlier, is that Overeem has only, people sleep on Overeem, but Overeem has, in the last few years, Overeem has only lost to top 5 contenders. He's only lost to the elite right now. And the fact that he's once again in the top 5 says volumes about where Alistair Overeem is in this latter half of his career. He's not going anywhere.
He's 40.
He's 40.
40, and he looks amazing.
He's had 21 years of MMA experience.
And then kickboxing before that.
Exactly.
His whole life.
Exactly. And the fact that for one thing, his experience is on another level than Sakai. His fight IQ was on another level than Sakai. His ability to take damage, we can argue, was a lot better than Sakai. And that cardio, I feel like just there was so much that Overeem had over Sakai that it's just insane to me to think that people were saying, oh, this guy's got nothing,
Yeah.
But anyway, it just
live and let learn.
Yeah, and the finish.
Don't sleep on Alistar anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Don't sleep on the Demolition Man. He's still here. He's still relevant. He and I do believe.
I hate the nickname. Demolition Man is such a bad movie.
Stop. Oh my God. It's great. You had fun watching.
You don't even know how to use the 3 seashells.
Exactly. See, it gave us gems like that. But, that just kind of the finish was great. There was a few moments where I'm not going to lie, I was a little worried for Alistair, but once he kind of made it out of that 3rd round and he started having real success with the takedowns and the ground and pound, I kind of felt like
nasty elbows.
Yeah.
Oh, nasty.
Yeah.
Pinpoint accuracy to the temple, to the jaw, whatever. He hit him. He hit him with it.
And I know Herb Dean suffered a lot of controversy recently, but I really
enjoyed. That's a good stoppage. It's a good stoppage.
It was a great stoppage, but I also really enjoyed how he handled the beginning of this fight, because Augusto Sakai is pretty infamous for grabbing the top of the cage.
Yeah, and it happened, and he just grabbed his hand and moved it.
Yeah, and he had to warn him several times, and he actually, and like you said, physically had to grab Sakai's hand and remove it from the top of the cage. That's the biggest that had happened was in his fight against Ivanov. I forget. Let me look at it real quick so I don't get the name wrong.
Gabriel Gonzaga.
Yeah, I was doing some research for that video we keep talking about.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's see here. Ivanov, yeah, it was Ivanov. Where Ivanov straight up gets a takedown going, and
he just completely avoid it.
And he didn't get called out or nothing, but the commentators were literally like, "Oh my God, he just grabbed the fence. He just grabbed the fence to avoid that takedown."
What a loser.
Yeah.
Also, I was gonna compliment Sakai on his still having a pretty decent performance while also getting hit in the nuts twice during the fight. And Paul Felder wasn't there to call it out. So
yeah, and
one of those was really bad. One of them wasn't that bad. One of them was pretty bad.
Are you talking about the spin kick right to the nuts? Yeah, that was really egregious.
The first one wasn't. The first one early in the fight, they both kind of shook it off, and then Herb was like, "Take a minute," and he was like, "Oh, nah." Yeah. That one was understandable. Accidents happen. The next one, it was like a spin kick. The spin kick to the nuts is not ever gonna be. That's never gonna tickle.
No. And he was like, I'll take the time. I need the time.
He's like, how much I got? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I'll take 2.
Yeah. So really just great performance. Quick couple of questions before we finish. What do you see being a possibility for Alistair in the future? Who's next, I guess?
Maybe we get a rematch for Rosenstrike.
Big possibility.
Correct. Because I feel like Alistair won that fight, and maybe if it's a 3-round fight, Alistair wins again. Maybe if it's another 5-round fight, Rosenstrike gets more experience. We'll see. I thought it was a pretty good, almost pure kickboxing match, evenly, and then Alistair, of course, really good ground and pound and grappling work. Weird for the Dutch kickboxer, but he's been kind of prolific at it lately, so maybe rematch there. I was also, while we were talking earlier, I was like, what about Junior versus Alistair?
Yeah,
that'd
be something.
Or
Junior. Well, here's the thing: Alistair beat Junior not too long ago, and Rosenstrike beat Junior Dos Santos just last time he fought. Yeah. So I do agree that possibly the best next step for him is a Rosenstrike rematch, because then that moves Rosenstrike out of the picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what Alistair needs to start doing right now, is he needs to start taking out these other guys, getting them out of the picture, because you can have Overeem versus Rosenstrike, or we know that Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blades is confirmed for November.
So you could pit the winner or loser up against whoever,
or if there's if we need any substitutions.
That's what right there. That's what I was trying to get to.
But there is also the chance that Overeem might not try to fight for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Or until December.
Because he's fought quite recently a few times.
Yeah, so he might want to just enjoy this victory. He took out a really a promising up and comer in Augusto Sakai. So he might just want to relish in this for a little while, or he's going to do like what I said, maybe try to fight in December. But right now, I think right now, in terms of who's ready, who's open, the Rosenstrike fight probably makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have here? I guess I could ask you, what do you think is next for Sakai?
Give him the Junior.
Give him Junior, because Junior's just coming off a pretty nasty loss.
Yeah, both coming off of a loss, both the lower of the top 10.
Yeah.
And both pretty much just need a win to stay up in the top 10, so put them up against each other.
Yeah. So that sounds pretty good. So unless you have any more thoughts, we'll go ahead and end this week's video.
I do not. I just want people to like, comment, subscribe, chat us up. We got nothing else going on. Tell us what you think. If you hate us, do it quietly. Give us the good stuff.
And remember, if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.